Welcome to Capitol Theater Conversations, Community Edition. This series of educational and informative offerings is made possible by the generous support of our sponsor, the law firm Kapuzas Lighty, PLLC, with additional support from Baker Boyer Bank, Fresh Hop Group, G.H. Moen LLC, the Moen family, Red and Carolyn Ramsey, Yakima Sunrise Rotary, and from donors just like you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our inaugural edition of Capitol Conversations Community. And we are thrilled not only to start this with Greg Lighty and John Kapuza, but they are also the sponsors of these conversations. Guys, give me the official name of your organization.
Well, officially, we're Kapuzas Lighty, PLLC, doing business as Yakima Accident Injury Lawyers.
Thrilled that you guys have made the commitment to sponsoring our conversations. We're excited about what all these conversations have to offer, and thrilled to have the chance for the community to get to know you guys a little bit more and also about the business. So you guys have only been, as a law firm together for how long now?
Well, we've been together now, it's going on about 2.5 years.
Your new location is at?
We are out at 3806 Tyaton Drive now, so out near Eisenhower High School.
And I live out that direction. It's always so much fun to drive by and see as that place was building up. So you reclaimed a building that needed some work, and you made it look really pretty.
The neighbors were happy. They all said, "Thank you very much for cleaning up the property."
But it's a lovely spot. You have a great new office. Now, your specialty is?
Well, we focus on personal injury claims, primarily automobile accidents, dog bites, slip and falls, things like that. And one thing I wanted to add, Greg and I have been working together for well over a decade now. I think it's maybe 12, 13 years, Greg?
John, we started in 2006, so I guess we're at 14 years now.
Who's from the area and who's not from the area?
Well, I'll go first since you said who's from the area. My family moved out here right after 4th grade for me, so I was 10 years old. And I shouldn't date myself, but that was 1976. So I grew up here in Yakima, and then when I went off to school, I, like a lot of people, never really intended to find my way back to Yakima. But like a lot of my friends, actually did find my way back to Yakima. So right after law school, I came back to Yakima, and I've been here practicing since 1991 now.
And do you give a nod to the specific institution you came from?
I came from the University of Washington, both undergraduate and law school. So if I didn't have a virtual background up, you would see the large husky picture that's really behind my head.
So now you arrived at the age of 10-ish. So now do you feel native kind of status?
No, I think I get welcomed pretty well as native status. I'm able to say I went to Robertson Elementary and Franklin Middle School and Eisenhower High School, and just by being able to rattle those off, people know I'm from the area.
And then they either love you or hate you depending upon the University of Washington thing. So yeah.
And around here there's probably more hate than love on that particular note. So.
And then John, your story.
Well, I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. Graduated from the University of Buffalo and then went on to law school in the great state of Michigan. After graduating, packed up my bags, moved to the state of Washington in 1995, and ended up taking my first legal job here in Yakima way back in 1996. So I've been here quite a while, enough to say I feel like I'm a local.
Okay. You at least know all the shortcuts and the best places to buy the things that you want to buy.
Most of them, yes.
Well, I was just going to say, Charlie, it's actually the other way around. For a guy who's lived here 25 years, he barely knows his way around town. I always have to tell him how to get someplace.
As I said, I always enjoy the partnerships that have lasted long enough that you can rib each other in this particular way. What I'd love to get a bit more information about here is your affiliation with the theater. You have an experience, especially Greg, with you being here as long as you have. What's your first memory of going to the Capitol Theater?
Well, it's interesting, Charlie. I've always been interested in the theater. I think of years ago, because I live in the neighborhood, going to the Warehouse Theater quite a bit. The Capitol Theater was a little more sparsely attended, at least when I was a kid growing up and as a young adult. It's really been the last, 6 or 8 years, probably in part because of John, that my wife and I started attending more events at the Capitol, and then have become season ticket holders, or however I should describe that, here in the last 3, 4, 5 years. I don't remember exactly, but We love going to the theater. In addition to just loving the art and the theater itself, it's just so great to have, plans to make an evening of it. Usually you try to grab dinner before, and you see lots of people when you're at the theater. We always get to say hi to you when we're at the theater. So it's just a time out, and the shows are always fabulous. So wish I was going more often a long time ago.
Yeah. Is there a particular show that you recall that sort of like was particularly to your taste?
I sort of like fun and upbeat and, grease type of shows. Always are kind of my favorite.
Perfect. Now, John, just so everyone knows, you serve on the board of directors for the Capitol Theater, and you're in your second term in that. But what's the first time you came to the Capitol Theater?
Well, I remember it very specifically. Like I said earlier, I came to Yakima in 1996, and I think it was the following year, in 1997, I was gifted some tickets to the theater. Never been to a Broadway show before. So this is in 1997. I was gifted some tickets to see the production Showboat, and fell in love with it. It was just a really good old-time classical Broadway production. It was so well done, and we had great seats, and I just fell in love with it. So that following year, I bought my season tickets way up in the balcony. I think they were the cheapest seats you could purchase at the time. I was a young lawyer and still paying off student loans. But ever since that time, I've been a season ticket holder and have just supported the theater with all my heart and treasure. And my whole family loves it. We have the kids go. My wife loves it, and big fans of Chicago and Cabaret and just all those great Broadway productions.
Yeah. Marvelous. Now, you have jointly made the commitment to be sponsors to the theater, and that's, first of all, so appreciated. Was it for you that makes it an important thing to be a sponsor for the Capitol Theater?
Well, I think both John and I feel that it's important to support the community here in Yakima in a number of ways, but there's hardly a better way than the theater. It's one of the oldest forms of entertainment we have around here. Everybody loves to go. Yeah. There's the history of the structure itself and the fire and the rebuild and all those sort of things. And it's just something that Yakima can lay claim to. We're able to get those great Broadway shows to come through a town our size and our location because we have something like the Capitol Theater. And it's just, it's so important that as a community, we maintain that and support it. And this is a difficult time in U.S. and world history for everyone. And so supporting the causes that are important to us are more important now than probably ever before, or we aren't going to have them when we come out of the other side of this pandemic.
And John, how about you?
Yeah, I would add, just to add to that a little bit, we're thankful and grateful to the community that supports us as a business. And one way of kind of returning that gratitude to the community is taking some of that investment that we have here and sharing it with others, like the Capitol Theater, or even other places like the United Way. I think it's our duty as leaders in the community to do those type of things to make Yakima a better place for everyone.
You both have mentioned your wives. I'd love you to share a little bit about, what's the perfect date night for each of you?
All right, well, Charlie, I'll go first. My wife, Kathy, is an attorney here in town as well. Her office is actually on the 7th floor of the tower, right there with your offices, so I know you know that about her. Uh-huh. She does family law and has done it since 1993. I don't know how she could do family law for 27 years, but she's done it. We have a couple of kids. They're grown now. Our 24-year-old son graduated from the University of Washington a couple of years ago. And our 21-year-old daughter, she just turned 21 in the middle of July. Not much of a 21 run during this pandemic, but that's probably a good thing. She's a senior this year down at San Diego State. Kind of thinking about things that happen at the Capitol Theater, I'm not a big ski person, although I did learn how at an older age, at about 40, but they always loved going to those, is it Warren Miller, the ski shows that get put on there at the Capitol?
Yes.
I know both kids would say that's what they think of when they think of the Capitol Theater. Despite the fact they've seen many other shows there, that would be what they think of.
Yeah.
But for when Kathy and I go to the theater, often we're with John, and we haven't said her name yet, John and Lisa. And like I said earlier, we like to, make a night of it. So get out of work and maybe dress up just a little bit and try to grab a nice dinner somewhere, or at least a snack and a beverage, and then off to the theater in time to say hello to everybody before the show. And always a great show. And then we love the intermissions too, because you can walk around and talk to more people, and
Yeah.
it takes a half an hour to get out of the theater because you're talking to so many people afterwards. And it's really just a fun night. You know, for us, it's not 7:30 when the show starts. It's more like 5:30, and it's not 9:30 when the show ends. It's more like 10:30. So
Yeah.
it's just a great night out, and it's a lot of fun.
John, I know Lisa has been a longtime supporter of the theater as well, and has, she doesn't drag you kicking and screaming, obviously.
No, Lisa, it's funny, as you know, Charlie, she's been in the nonprofit world for years and years and years here in Yakima, with the Red Cross and now with the YWCA as a development director. And it's tough kind of going out with her to the theater and other places because she literally knows everyone. And I'm expected to remember everyone's name, which is almost impossible for me. So I need to wear a name tag that says, hello, my name is John, and then try to remember everyone's name when we go out. But we love going out. Lisa's a huge supporter of everything Yakima. So sometimes, you know, when people are kind of down on our town and, you know, thinking that we should move, or I wish it was like Seattle, or why can't we have this like they have that in Portland or Boise, she's always to talk to positives. So when we go out, whether it's with the theater, with the Lighties, or wherever we go, if we're supporting a local restaurant like Gasparetti's or, you know, Zesta Cucina, she's always a cheerleader for the town. So it's kind of neat to go out with her and watch her light up when she talks to other people, to talk about whether it's the theater or the YWCA or just Yakima in general. So it's kind of neat. It's a challenge. She keeps me on my toes trying to remember all that. And like Greg mentioned with Warren Miller, that's the same thing with my kids. They're all, except for the one, they all are big time skiers or snowboarders, and they do the Warren Miller thing. And also some really good concerts that have taken place in the theater. I call them children, but my young adults all appreciated that. We're kind of like a Brady bunch, Lisa and I. So we have 5. She has 3 and I have 2. So we have 5 total. We have, 2 WSU grads, so go Cougs. We have 1 to graduate from WSU this year, 1 to graduate from Eastern, and another one, I have to think it through in my head, starting Eastern this year. So we're pretty busy family that way.
Oh, that is well representing the state, indeed.
We are, yes.
Well, especially for someone like yourself who isn't from the area, you know, you've got a total buy-in.
We really do, yeah. We're an Eastern Washington family for sure.
So you have both talked about, you know, you've come here, you moved here. Greg, you came back. What are the things that you most appreciate about Yakima?
Well, I suppose in this interview, we sort of have to start with the arts that are available in town, Charlie, but we talked mostly about that. You know, when Kathy and I get out and about, sometimes we kind of remind ourselves, we'll go to, you know, a winery just as you get outside of town, you're sitting up on the hill, enjoying a glass of wine and looking out at a view of the valley with Mount Adams in the background. And we'll joke and say, you know, we complain about Yakima, but if we were doing this exact same thing and had this exact same view in Europe somewhere, we'd be talking about how awesome Europe is. And yet we have that, you know, 15 minutes from our house, but really only about 5 minutes outside of town. And so I think there's a lot of beautiful landscape here. That, you know, the orchards and the vineyards and the hop fields, to me, are all beautiful. I've always liked our little brown hills that we see all year round. We've got lots of opportunities to volunteer. There's a huge number of nonprofits in town, and so it's easy for John and I and both of our wives. We all serve on boards or work directly for a nonprofit here in town.
Yeah.
So community involvement's easy. Outdoor recreation, you can do it all. Golf, tennis in the summer, hiking, boating, all that sort of stuff. And when it gets cold in the winter, you can snowshoe or downhill ski or cross-country ski. There's just so many activities to do really year-round in the valley that it's hard to know why when I was, you know, 16, 17 years old, I was sure I wanted to get away and not come back.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I just add that, you know, I'm a big outdoors person too. I think Greg is as well. And we have incredible fishing, camping, the mountains, Mount Rainier, all those wonderful things I think just add up to our experience. And I think Charlie, you know this too, with a lot of the folks, you know, we're starting to see people from the West Side, Seattleites coming over here saying, wow, there's some beautiful neighborhoods. They want to live here. and avoid the rat race in Seattle. And with today's technology, I think more and more people on the west side are starting to realize how beautiful it is here and are starting to move here.
Sure.
Yes.
Let me ask you one other question. If there was one thing that you would hope for Yakima as the next step of the progression of where we're heading and how we're moving forward, is there something you'd like to add about, sort of what you would hope to see?
What I'm looking forward to is kind of more immediate, is more directed with the Capitol Theater. First, I'd like to mention that happy birthday to the Capitol, 100 years old this year in 2020. And unfortunately, COVID-19 kind of put a monkey wrench into our plans. I know we had a lot of great things planned for the community to celebrate our theater this year. So what I'm looking forward to, and I think we'll have no problem getting people to agree, is how to celebrate that 100th birthday next year in 2021, God willing.
Indeed, we are certainly. I've had the chance to talk to so many of our patrons as we work through what's next and how things are moving forward. And collectively, as a community, we are looking to convening at the Capitol again. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for joining us on this first and inaugural edition of our community conversations. And please do my best to your wives as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Charlie. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time, Charlie. We appreciate it.